Low engagement is the silent killer of online courses. If students aren't participating, then they're not learning and they're definitely not buying from you again. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the secrets to engagement that I've learned from helping over 10,000 course creators around the world. You may have seen scary stats online like e-learning industry mentioning that only 5 to 15% of people are actually completing online courses. We're going to make sure that you're not part of that statistic. A student dropping off your course doesn't mean that your course isn't valuable. The most common reasons for dropouts are lack of motivation, overwhelming content, time constraints, and isolation. Here's how we fix it. My first recommendation for you is to create short lessons. A common misconception that I see when working with course creators is they think they need to make the longest course possible in order to provide more value. And that is absolutely not the case. A longer course isn't better. What you're actually providing your students is not information, but you're helping them get from point A to point B. And so if you can help them do that faster, that's what you want to be able to do. So here's an example. If I told you that I'm going to help you lose 10 pounds in 30 days, and to do that, you've got to take this comprehensive course that I made that is 100 hours long. Would you rather that? Or if I said, I'm going to help you lose 10 pounds in 30 days and you just have to take one lesson every day, it's 5 minutes long every single day. That one sounds better because it's going to help you get there faster. So the ideal lesson length is going to be about 3 to 5 minutes. We don't want these hour-long lectures that you're forcing your students to sit through, especially if you consider the attention spans nowadays of people just scrolling through social media all day. And when you look at that on one side, and then on the other side, look at something like a movie where it's meant to be entertaining, but think of how much money and time and people goes into trying to make that entertaining. We're not really going to be able to achieve that with these hour-long lessons. So you want to have a short lesson that's going to give some kind of digestible content so the student can feel like they're actually making progress, then feel like they have this overwhelming burden of, wow, I've got to find some kind of time to sit through this hour today. You want to give them the short lesson. And then the next point that this is going to bring me into is you want to give them something to do with that lesson. So it's really important to have some kind of action item where every lesson that you teach, you're giving them some way to go forward and actually implement what they learned. Inside Heights platform, we've got this feature called the AI lesson review, and it's going to help check over your lesson, but it also actually helps to give you recommendations for potential action items. And it's really helpful to insert those action items into every lesson. So that way your student has something to do and they can feel this sense of progress when they're going through your course. So you've got these students coming into your online course, but you want to keep them motivated and you don't want them to feel isolated and then just drop off. So a great way to do that is with community and challenges. First of all, with community, which I think is even more important nowadays, you can add community features to an online course product relatively easily, and it doesn't take too much extra work for you, but it gives a whole lot more value to your students. And it's really motivating for students to be able to see, wow, look at what this person achieved through this course, and look at how they did it, and be able to get this kind of motivation and kind of build off each other, because they may even be able to learn things from each other that they didn't learn from you directly. Especially if, let's say, one student says, hey, I went through the course and here's how I implemented what I learned. And maybe they did it in a different way that's actually resonating better with some group of your students. So community is really powerful to just bring together this like-minded group of people that you have, all trying to accomplish a similar goal. And similarly, challenges are a really powerful way to start to get people engaged in your course. And as we're talking about here, it's hard to just say, hey, here's all this content, good luck. If somebody's not already really strongly motivated to go through that, then it's easy for them to put that off because there's nobody forcing them to go through your online course, right? Well, a challenge is really helpful because it gives some kind of sense of accountability and community. And what an online challenge is basically an online course that is happening on these fixed calendar dates. So that means instead of the student going through it on their own pace, they're going through it with a group of people all together. So it starts, let's say, the first day of the month and then ends maybe the last day of the month. And the student has to do these hopefully very short lessons every single day. But what's really powerful here is number one, they've got this sense of accountability that they're going through it with everybody else and they've got to keep up with it to make sure that they can do that. And number two is it's helping them build a habit of starting to engage with your content, because you need to be able to do that in order to help to be able to share something with somebody over a longer term, especially if what you're teaching is not something that can be like digested in just a few lessons. You want to help the student actually build this habit of engaging with your content so that they will keep coming back and they will ultimately achieve that result that you're trying to provide them. Heights platform was one of, if not the first platforms to allow creators to easily build these online challenges for their students. And one of the best ways to use online challenges is actually as a low cost or free lead magnet tool before your flagship course. And so what I mean by that is you have everybody go into this maybe 5-day, 7-day, 30-day challenge that provides some kind of smaller result that is easier to achieve before they get into that big full flagship course. And that does two things for you. Number one is it helps build up the habit of getting engaged. And then number two, when they did get a result from it, it acts as a selling tool because then they're more likely to actually go and buy that flagship course from you. This next one is super important, so I'm going to say it 3 times. Feedback, feedback, feedback. You want to constantly improve and iterate on your online course. And one of the things that is so great about the online course business is that it's really easy to do, to be constantly improving your product. And so I'm going to give you 3 ways that you can do this. The first way is through Heights AI lesson review that I mentioned before, especially if you don't have much of an audience yet and you're just getting started with this online course. You don't maybe have too many people that you can show it to and get that feedback from. When you use Heights AI lesson review, it's going to look at your video, look at your lesson, and then give you feedback based on the context of your entire course. It's going to let you know, here's some like questions that students might ask about, some action items that you might want to insert into the course, like I mentioned before, and basically help you understand that you're covering all the things that you might want to cover in that particular lesson. The next thing is just ask. You want to be in touch with these early students, and a mistake would be to think, oh, this online course means passive income right away. I'm going to just put it out there and then I just get to see what happens. No, you want to talk with these students, especially early on, and figure out where are their problems, where are their questions, and make sure that you can optimize your course to be answering all of those. And then the third way is by including forums and things where you're actually asking for feedback in the course directly. So you want to ask people if they have questions, you want to ask for reviews, things like that, and just be constantly on the lookout for anything that you can gain and get from the students that are actually taking your course, so that way you have a clear path on how to improve it in the future. I've got 2 more important tips that I want to share with you. The first one is that completion does not equal success. Students don't have to finish a course in order to get value from it. A more concrete example of this is for myself when I was reading the 4-Hour Workweek book by Tim Ferriss. I didn't even finish the book, but that was enough for me to understand that I could go and do this thing, and I went out and traveled the world before even turning 21. And that was because the book provided me everything I needed to understand it was possible and understand what I needed to do or how I needed to do it, even though I didn't actually finish it. And the same will be true for a number of your students, where they may not completely finish that course, but they will get the value that they needed from it in order to get from point A to point B. Wouldn't it be cool if there was a course platform that was actually designed to help your students learn and achieve real results? Well, Heights platform is exactly that. So if you're interested in trying it out, we've got a free 30-day trial. There is no credit card required. You can go to heightsplatform.com to sign up. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to learn more about building an online course business, please remember to like and subscribe.